Welcome back, everyone. Apple getting a boost today after reporting record revenue of $83 billion in the third quarter. The tech giant did take a hit on net income, though, falling nearly 11% amid rising inflation and COVID lockdowns. Despite the latter, sales in China, they held up surprisingly well. Joining us now to discuss, we've got Citi Managing Director in Equity Research, Jim Suva, joining us. Jim, great to have you here with us this morning. Post-Apple earnings here, I want to get, number one, your takeaway on how Apple performed during the quarter and if they are as recession-proof as they want us to believe they are.
Hey, Brad, it's great to see you today. First of all, I got to say, we believe they are, and here's why. If your iPhone breaks, you replace it right away. And what you're finding is a lot of productivity coming from your smartphone. And people don't want something cheap. They don't want something where the battery will give out midway through the day. They want to be able to work and also socially interact on a high-quality device that's dependable, and Apple fits that bill. Now, you did correctly note that China was down 1%. Before we say that's a concern, it actually is quite good, considering that China's zero-tolerance policy for COVID and their lockdowns. That was actually quite good. Now, foreign exchange, as you know, people buy Apple Cloud and apps and things like that internationally. Foreign exchange is a big headwind right now. 300 basis points or 3% this quarter, and 6 basis points or 600 basis points or 6% next quarter. They are navigating all this very well. It's a premium product. They are still being constrained by supply. It was 4 to 8 billion last quarter. Next quarter is probably going to be 2 to 3 billion. Demand is surpassing supply. We like that equilibrium and we like that equation. And we actually raised our target price from 175 to 185, and we still have a buy rating on the stock.
Jim, just to go back to something you said in terms of, effectively the phones are a utility at this point that people need and will replace if they break. But what if they don't break? What's happening with the replacement cycle for phones? Is it lengthening? Are people keeping them longer in this environment? And what have we seen in past economic downturns?
Julie, that's a very insightful question. And I got to say, that was the question that I actually asked Tim Cook and the management team on the conference call. And they said, ironically, they have not seen a lengthening of cycles. Simply put, people eventually get tired of their phone and they want a new one, whether it be a bigger screen, a smaller screen, or maybe simply put, the batteries wear out. Almost like wearing your shoes every day. Eventually the soles wear out. Batteries only last so long and people upgrade. Right now, the average life of the phone, of an iPhone, is just under 4 years. That's a pretty long time. But the concern is, indeed, are people going to slow down? But we think that their innovation with the iPhone 14 coming out in September, and then a foldable phone where you can actually unfold it and look at the top and bottom half, probably in 2023 or 24 is down the road. But we actually don't see a material lengthening of the iPhone replacement cycle. It's just under 4 years.
Hey, Jim, no trying to recruit Julie for your team. She's ours here at Yahoo Finance. We need her out here on the desk, all right? Come on. But talk to us about that foldable phone. How big a catalyst is that going to be? Do you see the foldable phone being sold against the current iteration, or do you think Apple will just only make foldable phones?
I think people really have different preferences. Some people like a really small phone that will fit in their front or back pocket. Other people like a larger phone because they prefer to do a lot more internet surfing. Some people like a lot of different cameras, and some gamers may like a top and bottom screen where they can play games on both, or when you're using a map. So it's a bigger screen in front of you so you can actually see more of the map. So I think there's just different business case and consumer case applications where it will be quite well embraced. Whenever Apple has a new form factor, first of all, the app developing community buys it right away, because they have to develop those apps that will work on both the top and the bottom screen. They also have to develop different apps about having a hinge and whether you want to use both screens or allow email and instant messaging on the bottom screen while you're playing a game or doing some apps, or even doing Yahoo Finance on the top screen. You can start looking at different ways of using these things. So the app community will buy it right away. The consumers will decide if they want to buy it. It's not for everybody. But the same thing to be said, some people like small phones, some people like big phones. One fit doesn't fit everybody.
Yahoo Finance should absolutely be the top screen, Jim. We appreciate you for acknowledging that. And ultimately here it comes down to, as well, on that install base of any of the products, how well the services are going to continue to do as consumers kind of tighten their discretionary spending.
I think you're right. They will tighten discretionary spending, whether it be streaming services or things like that. During COVID, when we were all locked at home, people were spending more on services. That being said, you know, the wonderful pictures that you're going to take of your friends and family and things that you're going to do this weekend, people store that in Apple Cloud. And once you store it in iCloud, it continues to get more and more powerful and more sticky. We also believe that AR and VR, augmented reality and virtual reality, so they can go in and take pictures of your living place and your kitchen, change the paint colors, change where you have the oven, do some renovations, and do that all virtually. And for education, those are new services. But near term, because of the FX and the foreign exchange, it's a little bit of a headwind. Let me quantify that, though. We're talking growth of 12% this quarter, likely go into 10% next quarter. 10% in a world where we're entering into a recession is still pretty good. I'll take that any day.
Jim, you cover a lot of big tech companies. Do you think Tim Cook is one of the most underrated CEOs of that group? Look what this guy has done. Not only just taking over from Steve Jobs, but managing the supply chain through the pandemic, coming out with potentially a foldable phone. It's just tremendous.
Yeah, your comment is absolutely right. I would say that, Brian, first of all, people said there's no way to top Steve Jobs, and we don't want to compare people against each other. Apple is a company that continues to innovate. Tim Cook is a supply chain guru. He's really good at that. One thing you didn't mention is he brought out Apple Watch, and people said, oh, there's really no need for it. Now you see that it's literally saving lives. It's letting people know when somebody falls down. It's letting you and your loved ones know if grandma or grandpa fell down, and call the emergency people, or call yourself to make sure everything's okay. Check your oxygen levels, check your heart rate. You know, that was a product that Tim Cook launched, and a lot of people were very skeptical. In fact, that's putting it too nice. They're outright negative on the Apple Watch. And look, we now see it's the world's best-selling watch. Apple is an innovative company, and Tim Cook has done a wonderful job at leading through a very unpredictable, dynamic world.
All right, Jim Suva, great to get some time with you. Appreciate it. Citi Managing Director. Have a great weekend, Jim. Appreciate your insight.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.